people have gone into the website so far? Actually, not. So does it all make sense to you? You see how it works and everything? Okay, what I've done is I normally try to avoid confusing you by putting too many days ahead, but what I've done is I've started putting what date it is, what class it is, and so everything between that and the next class is today's class. Okay, for example, the first class, and then it says the second class, and it says the third class. And I'm trying to keep it so that if you want to go back to a specific class, you can go back to it right away and see which one it is. I used to put them upside down, and somebody said, well, why don't you do that so that the first class they see would be the current class. It turns out that isn't so, it's good for that part of it, but it's not good when you're trying to find something, the first day, the second day, the third day, the fourth day, because then it's upside down and you can't find anything. So I put it back, I've gone back to a normal, first class is the top, second class, third class, fourth class. So it works like that much better for you to search for stuff. Because when it comes to you're trying to find out how to do something, it's hard to search upside down. Okay, so that's one thing I want to point out. The homework assignment is up there now for tonight. And what I do is, whenever I have a homework assignment, I give you a demonstration of how to do it. I say, this is how you kind of do the homework assignment. And I did that this time. Because they're automated, I only did that once. I only have one of these things which says, look at this and it'll show you how I would do this kind of problem. And so all you have to do is to do the automatic homework assignments, you simply run the thing. And if I have your university, you have to put in your university user ID, well, like email account ID, and put down the whole thing. Like my name's jjdarth@alaska.edu. I put the whole thing in. If you have if you've got some kind of a name that isn't the standard one they give you, that can happen if you change it. If you try it and it doesn't work for you, then use the official one, or tell me what the one you'd like to use is, and then I'll put that one in too. But at this point, all I have is the ones that you actually gave me the other day. That's the only things I have. Or if you send me an email, I look to see where the email is from, and I use that one. Okay, so trying to keep it simple. Basically, the access to the homework assignment is your email address. That's all. That's all there is to it. And you type in your email address, and it actually grades you automatically. At the end of every automatic assignment, after you get 10 points or 20, whatever it gives you, at that assignment, it will send you an email and say you've done it, you've finished it. So you get an email for every automatic homework. So however many there are, that's how many you get by the end of the semester. That way you know for sure that you've done them. Okay? Last time, what I focused on was how to set up an account at wherever it was, someplace, wherever we were supposed to set it up, we set it. Which company are we using this year? Alta Vista. Oh yeah. By the way, that's a weird name too, because there's a search engine called Alta Vista, which I think Microsoft bought or something. Somebody's got it now. But and if I'm not mistaken, Alta Vista used to be just for non-com. If it was a .com, it wouldn't find it. It would find everything except the .coms. That was originally the idea, was that if you didn't want to get into the business world, you could just do academic stuff, and you'd use Alta Vista, and they would find just the academic stuff. But I think that's gone by now. But anyway, this company calls itself Alta Vista, which is kind of peculiar, spelled a little bit differently. And but I've tested them. I just started testing them this year. I just picked it up like it was said to be a good one, and I looked and I tried different things, and everything seems to work really well. So I think it's the one to go. Did anybody having trouble getting on to start with, getting connected up? Did it all work out pretty good? So you all have an account of some kind? Okay, maybe at some point I'll ask you what those accounts are. It'll make it easier for me to find your stuff, but right now I'll worry about that right away. Okay, so that was getting set up, and now the next question is, how do we use the account? We want to put stuff up there, programs up there. As I mentioned last time, there's 3 different kinds of things we're working on in this class, 3 kinds of programming languages. The first one is just simple HTML, hypertext markup language, which just simply makes a window for you. It makes a window in a browser. So using HTML alone, we can get a browser to have a picture or words or whatever we want. It will do that. HTML language will do that for you. If you want to do something cute with the letters, like make them look pretty or do something odd, then we have to use another language called CSS. And CSS, for our purposes, I'm going to call it style sheet. It's a style sheet, really. And what the style sheet simply does is says take whatever words or pictures there are and add additionally, enhance them somehow with some kind of technical thing that they offer you. So in other words, we start off, we just build our page and it just says HTML. That's the HTML page. And then we add CSS, which makes it look prettier. And at this point, all you have is a page that looks nice. That's what you have when you use those two languages. That's all we have. But then, if you're communicating with this page and you want it to do something for you, add two numbers together or do something, some peculiar thing for you, then what happens is behind the scenes, out of sight of the user, we're going to have JavaScript. And JavaScript is a computer programming language that's called an interpreted language. All it simply means is that whatever JavaScript is visible to the people who use it. Normally when you run a program, a piece of software, it just says exe, and you execute it, and it runs, and you can't see what the program really looks like. You can't see the program itself. You can see what it does, but you can't see it. In the case of JavaScript, you can actually see the program. You can actually see, anybody that runs it can actually see what it looks like. They can look at your program and see how it works, okay? Which is kind of nifty. So the JavaScript is called interpreted because what happens is the whole program is right there, and it goes into the person's machine that's running it, and then it starts executing one instruction after the other. And then you can say, well, list that program, I want to see what it's doing, and you can look at it and see what the instructions are if you want to, okay? That's one of the advantages we have with this language, because you don't need any special kind of computer programming compiler, a compiler which makes them unreadable. We don't have anything like that. Everything is right visible to us. We can see everything, okay? Another nice thing about that, by the way, is that if you run a JavaScript program, and it's just JavaScript, and if you got to know the language pretty well, you could tell if anyone was trying to cause you trouble, any kind of attempt to get you a virus or a worm or something. You could actually see what they're doing. You can see them leave JavaScript and go off to some other place, and you say, oh, what's this all about? In other words, you see the program, you can see what it does. That's the best protection you can have if you actually know what you're looking at. Okay. But JavaScript is it's a fairly innocuous language. It's not dangerous. Java is much more dangerous than JavaScript. So anyway, we write the thing in JavaScript, and here's how it works. On the front page over here, we have buttons. You've all seen buttons before, or input boxes where you can type stuff in. And these input boxes, these buttons and everything, they talk to JavaScript. They send information to it. JavaScript does calculations, it does whatever it's going to do, and sends answers back to you someplace, wherever you want them to come back. So basically you have the front end picture, and then behind it you have this programming language running, okay? What I have to do first in the class, what we're going to do first is get this out of the way. We want to get your window, so that you can write a window to say, okay, here's my window, here's what it says, and here's some pictures, here's some stuff. That's the first step of the thing, just to get that out of the way. And once you do that, then we can start adding these buttons and things to talk to JavaScript. It'll give you a couple of stages. That way it won't confuse you. If I put them both together, it's going to get confusing. So let's just start off with the HTML. I just want to start off with how to make a web page. A lot of you guys already know this, but I want to talk about how to make a web page. And by the way, if you've taken an HTML course before, we're going to do a very abbreviated version of what you probably learned, because we don't care about the nice little frills and everything. That's not necessary. What we really need is an input area to get into the JavaScript. We need something to get us into it, and then have a front page where people can see what's going on. And that's all we really need. We don't have to have it, sing songs or whatever. Although we can have it sing songs, we can have it do whatever we want. But so I'm going to focus right now just on basic HTML and a little bit of CSS, just because we need some things we have to do. In other words, we need style, the style sheet, to take whatever is on the front here, and we want to do a little bit more to it. Okay, so I'm going to distinguish between the two every time I talk about them. I'll tell you when we're using this and when we're using that, and that's what I'm going to talk about today. Okay, but on the website there's a demonstration of me on a video creating a folder, a CS101 folder on the desktop. All you have to do is click on it, and it shows me doing it right there at home. And just do the same thing. Create a CS101 folder on your desktop. It also shows you how to take Chrome and put a link to it on the desktop. You want to have that on the desktop with you. We're going to have to do something to that, but right now I just want you to get it up there, just for now. By having it on the desktop, it's visible to you, and you can take a program you want to run it. You just grab that program and drag it to that icon, and it runs. Okay, that's what we want to do. And that icon, we're going to have to do something to it to make it so that it will allow us to run very sophisticated programs that it normally doesn't run. So we have to put a little thing in there. So so I want to have that icon on the desktop. So I give you an instruction how to do it. I show you doing it. And just do the same thing I do. How many people are running Windows 10, PC Windows 10? Anyone running 8? You're running 8. It should work the same way. How about XP? Anybody running XP at this point? Mac people. How many Mac people are in here? Mac people. Okay, I put up a Mac version of how to save a file, I think. But to tell you the truth, I don't know how you get the icon on the desktop. Do you know how to do it? Does anybody not know how to do it? Do you know how to get the icon up on the desktop so you can just have, say, Chrome right on your desktop?
Oh, just it's at the bar at the bottom.
Okay, it is at the bar at the bottom.
Yeah, it's really accessible.
Can you drag to it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, if you can drag to it, that's all you have to do. Okay, let's see. That's one thing I was going to ask you here. If you have any problems with Macintosh stuff, you can ask me, as I say, an hour before class, I'm over there at the Wood Center. I'll go up to whatever I can do, and we can go online, you can probably find out everything for you. But the thing to do is, if you want to do something when I'm not around, the lab over at the Chapman building, those guys in there are Mac people, so some of them are, so they know really how to take care of it for you. So if it's something weird comes up, they may be able to handle that for you. Okay, I guess that's about it. So let me start showing you how to program in HTML, and I'll show you how the whole thing works. By the way, I think I interrupted myself. There is a video now that shows you how to how to create a CS101 folder on the desktop, and how to write a little bit of code, HTML code, how to save it in that folder, how to upload it to AltaVista, to your site at AltaVista, and then how to run it at AltaVista. Okay, so I'm going to go through this sequence of events right now because these things are all important. They're important for you because I've gotten literally hundreds of emails from people saying, oh, I can't do this or I can't do that. And it's always because they didn't quite see what we're trying to do here. If you get the idea of what we're trying to do, it cleans it up pretty quickly. Okay, so let me just start off with a little bit of map of what we are going to do before I even write any code at all. It starts off that you write some program, and we're writing in Notepad here. We write in Notepad, except you guys in the Mac are writing in what? Some other thing, whatever
Text
it is.
edit.
What?
Text edit?
No, it's a simpler one than that. It's on. I got it online. I wrote it up there. Somebody gave it to me. I sent it up there. But it's the most basic kind of word processor. You do not want anybody in this room. Don't write in anything except Notepad. Only write in Notepad, because Notepad doesn't do anything funny to you. Some of these things embellish everything. Like, for example, instead of just putting a couple of quotes around something, a quote around something, it'll put something that looks like that. And they're both different. And in other words, it gets cool. You know? And after a while, it starts to put characters up there that the JavaScript doesn't recognize, doesn't know what you're doing. So it has to be the most fundamental of all kinds of files. It has to be the easiest, breeziest file you can possibly write, which means don't write in Microsoft Word, don't write in any of the big-time editors. Write in Notepad. That's the one that will do it for you. And so that means keep it simple as possible. Don't get fancy with anything. Okay, so what happens is you write your program, and then you save your program as this. When you go to save your program, and it's going to say where do you want it, you have to say, you know how to do that, I hope. You save it in the right folder. You save it in the CS101 folder. And in that CS101 folder, when you save the thing, I'm going to give this a name. I'm going to call it hello, which is on the demo, by the way. There's a help program called .html. That's called an extension right there for a file. Okay, HTML is an extension. Usually what you have in this kind of program, it says .txt. That's usually what it says. Or it can say a lot of other things too, pictures like .jpg and so forth. But the extension you want to write is HTML right here. That's the one you want. Because this is going to be an HTML program. The reason why you need that is because when you pull it to Chrome, Chrome looks at it and says, oh yeah, I understand this is an HTML program, and it runs it. If it doesn't have the HTML on the end of it, it has something else, it's going to look at it, it's not going to know what to do. Or if it does know what to do, it's not going to do what you expect. So basically, be sure you save your programs with .html at the end, okay? On the Macintosh, when you go to save a program, there is a place where you can say show extensions. There's a little checkbox there, okay? be sure to check that box because you want to see the extension of your, on your, when you're in CS 101, in the folder, you want to be able to see if you got a picture or a program or what you have there. And the only way to do it is to have these extensions on it. It tells you what they are. So in other words, we're going to be working with pictures in HTML and basically in PHP and a few other things. And we want to be sure that when you look at something, you'll see the name you put on it. Like supposing you had the hello program with a picture called hello inside of it. Okay? If that was the fact, then you'd have two hellos. Which one is the program and which one is just the picture? The only way you can tell is if you see the extension on the thing, see how it works. So that's what you have to do. You have to make sure that you put HTML there. Okay? Now, when you go to save it, is where, right now you can say save. If I press the save button, I'd be in trouble because it would save it as a .html.text right away. It assumes it's going to be text. Underneath this, right here is where you just type this in. And underneath this is another little thing over here. They look like that. And down here it's going to say something blah 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 txt. You don't want that. So what you do is you go over here, pull down, and what it does is it changes this to say any file that has a dot in it like that. That's what you want. It has to have a, in other words, it saves any file format. So what it does then is when you say save now, it'll save .html. It won't put txt on the end of it. So in other words, be sure to go over here and pull down. And change this thing to the alternative, which is not text, it's anything else. So you have to do that. Then you hit the save button. And that'll take it away and it will save it as hello.html with no txt on it. If the txt goes on the end of it, it's hell to fix. Which I mean, it's almost like what you have to do is you can't just change it. There's no way to change it in these languages. So what you have to do is you have to open up the one that says txt. You have to select everything. And then you have to open up another one and paste it into that one. Then you have to save that one correctly. Whatever it is, you have to save it correctly. You can't just change the extension on it to make it work. It won't work. In other words, you can't take it, oh, I don't like this txt, so I'm just going to erase it. It doesn't work like that. So I would say avoid the mistake if you can. But if you have to, you can always fix it by copying, pasting, and saving again. Okay, so there you have it right there. That's how you actually save a program. Okay, now when you save this program, it's in your machine, in your folder someplace, the CS 101 folder. You have a program that says hello, .html. And that's it, your program is in there. And to run this program, normally when you run a program with an exe on it, you just go tap, tap, and it runs. This may or may not run with when you do that. When you tap it, usually what it does is it comes up a menu and says, what program do you want to run this in? Because I, for example, you guys probably do too, I have 3 different browsers in there, so which one is it going to choose? So you have to decide which one it is. What I do is a different strategy. On the desktop, you open up this thing, this is the folder, and this is the desktop behind it over here. And I have the Chrome right here, this Chrome thing right here. And so what I say is I grab a hold of this thing and drag it down to the Chrome thing, and it runs. That way I know Chrome is going to run it. Okay? And by the way, all of our advanced programs, you have to run them like that. Now, that's only when they're in your machines. When somebody sees them online, it's got the power of online. See, the trouble is, when they created this icon here, when they created this program in your browser, it doesn't allow you to run things that have a certain level of sophistication. It's because it's calling on stuff on the web, and basically it doesn't want you to run it from your machine. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to change this guy here so that when we drag stuff to it, it'll run anything that we write, no matter what it is. It'll say, oh, they're overriding this. They've decided to override it. And by the way, that's also true in the Macintosh, and there is an instruction in the Macintosh on my website how to do that. And if you don't find it, we'll have to find it. We'll have to find out where it is, because you have to do the same thing. Notice the Mac also has. You say it's down here. Down here. Ours are down here too, by the way. But I want to have one on the desktop here because we want to make a change in it, and it's hard to make a change in something when it's down the bar down below. So we'll make a change in it right here. So there it is. So the point, you save the file. It's right here. To run it, you grab a hold of it and drag it down to the icon, and it runs. And that's all there is to it. And it'll run in the browser, and it'll show you whatever you did. Okay. That's how it's done. But now, that program is not available to anyone online. It's only available to you on your computer. So what we have to do is, out here at Alta Vista, and it's got .org, and it's got your stuff right here, blah, 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 blah. this is your site, right? Whatever your site is right here. Out here is where you have the space and you want to put your programs so that they can be run. So what you do is you have to get this program up to Alta Vista, okay? Online, I've actually gone through the entire procedure, and at the end of class here, I'll just run that video just so you can see it, the whole thing in action. Ask me any questions you have at that time. It's only about 7 or 8 minutes or something, but what it'll do is it'll show you how to do all the different steps we're doing here. And what happens is you have to go to, in order to put this file up there, you have to go to Alta Vista. Actually, you have to put E in first because they have different languages. It's in Italy. You go E in Alta Vista. We did this, we've done this the last class, I think, vista.org. And when you do that, when you type this in the browser, it'll bring you to the opening site, the main site. And then when you get to the main site, you say, I want to log in. So you hit the login, okay? And when you log in, it takes you through a series of steps, and you end up in a place where you can actually upload the thing. And then you say upload it, and I'll show you how to do that on the video. So essentially that's it. Then you upload the file. So the file is uploaded. You assume that you knew how to do it. You followed the instructions, and it did it for you. Now the program right here is not only here, but it's also up here. And you'll see it up here. You can actually see the listing. You'll see it up there as well as down here. Now the question is, how do you make that thing run? Okay, now my user ID here, my website is I think it's CS 101, I think it was. CS 101. I think that's what it was called, .Alta Vista. That's my website right there. Now yours isn't that. Yours is something else. When you load it, you're going to have it put your own in. So what happens is I say, okay, I want to run this program. So what I do in the browser is I type /hello .html. And the program runs. That's all there is to it. In other words, it's on your site, you say / this is the program, run it. And anybody can run it from any place at that point. Okay? That all makes sense? All right? As I say, there's a video for this, you can watch it and see it. There's a series of tiny little videos. A lot of them are short, some of them are a little bit longer, but they're usually about 10 minutes at the most. But what I'd like you to do is, I'd like you to do, for example, day 2 has a bunch of these things. I'd like you to do it, it says click here. Click each one of them and try it, look at it, and do it, whatever it tells you to do that in your computer. So it'll get you set up. So this is sort of getting set up to actually do programming. We have to have a way to get this stuff up to the website. So sort of follow these instructions and make sure all the things work. And if they don't work, let me know, and I'll have to, by email, we'll have to work it out, figure out what's wrong. Some computers are very recalcitrant. They don't do what they're supposed to do. I think they have virus checkers or something. There are things go wrong. I'll do the best I can, and if I can't do it, there's guys over there at CS at OIT that might be able to help you. In other words, if you have a machine that's peculiar, that's when I have to start dealing with things. So anyway, at that point, I've just told you everything. Told you how to save the thing, how to put it up there, and how to run it. And that's what we need to know, okay? Question?
So on this first part here, what are we saving? We're writing something in Notepad?
A program.
A program. So we're writing a program that you're going to be teaching us how to write. Then we're saving it as an HTML instead of a text. And then we upload it to Alternate Vista.
And then somebody runs it from up.
Okay.
But here's the trick though. Don't ever load anything up there until you test it in your own machine. You want to take it, drag it to Chrome to run it in your machine before you upload it. Because I'm telling you, there's nothing worse than getting a program that doesn't work, and then you don't know why it doesn't work and confounds you and everything. Don't let that happen. The easiest thing to do is test it here, and if it doesn't work, work on it, figure it out, right? Rewrite the program, do something with it, and save it again. So get everything clear in your machine so everything works on this end of the thing. Okay, it's a good program and it works. Then upload it to Alta Vista. If you do accidentally upload something that doesn't work, there's no problem, because the last time you upload it, it's going to overlay the other one. Okay, it's going to overlay the one that's there. And if you don't trust that, it depends on how safe you feel about that. You can go to Alta Vista. You can go to your site, your website where you normally upload, and you can say, click on this file and say, delete it. You can get rid of the one up there. It'll just delete. And so that way you can get rid of the one that's up there. Then you can upload it again as a new one. In most systems, what they do is they upload and they say, do you want to replace the old one? You say yes or no. You decide on that. If you want to have both of them up there, then you give the new one a different name. That's all, just to be sure you have them all there. There is a problem. You can actually destroy stuff. And that's the problem. Supposing, for example, you wrote this really elaborate, beautiful program, you like it, it's the best one you ever wrote in your life, and you put it up there, and it's called Hello. And then you wrote this junky little program next week, and you called it Hello too, just by accident. And then you said, upload it, and it says, do you want to replace the old one? If you do that, your nice, beautiful program is gone, and this junky program is now up there, right? And your friends will all, stick their tongues out at you and everything's going to be awful. So basically, you don't want to lose stuff. Try not to lose stuff, okay? That's about it for that. Now I'd like to get down to the programming part, which is the actual interesting part of this whole thing. This is the technical stuff we have to do. As I say, you should be able to follow the instructions I wrote. Actually, not only instructions, I showed you a video of me doing it. And you're going to get essentially the same thing's going to happen to you. Just upload the same way and see if it works. It should work. And if it doesn't work, let me know. I'll have to see what happens. All right, how do you program? Well, the first thing you want to do, and again, online at the same site on day 2, there's a video, not a video, but there's a little click me thing, and it's got a series of programs that you can actually run these programs. So you can see how they work, and I talk about them. I say, I did this, you want to do that, run the program, you click on it, and it runs. Okay, you can actually click on it, it will run for you. And then you see another program, and then you can click on that, and it runs for you. So in other words, you can run, there's about 5 or 6 or 7 of them there, and each one of them has a little bit more complicated program. You can see more and more how you add stuff to it. In order to do that, all you have to do is go to the site, open up, click me, open up that web page, and then read the stuff and click on the program. It'll run for you. Now, when you run a program, all you have to do is click on it. Like, for example, if you have a program online on my website, I'll say explain blah blah, whatever, explain something. And it'll say, click here. That's usually what you see, is that situation, okay? And you click there, and it brings you to the program, okay? That's how it works. Well, this right here is called a link. It's a link, I set up a link in my program, and it's a button, and when you press the button, it goes off to the program, and it runs the program for you. So what will happen next after you click that link, the program will come up. Now, sometimes it's a video, that's different. I mean, you see videos or you see programs. You can also see just a picture or a listing or something. But if you see a program run, if this is like, explain how this program runs, and you click on it, and a program starts running, you can see the program running, you're looking at it, and you want to see what does the program look like. You're seeing what it does, but if you want to see what does the code look like, what is this, how did he do this? What you do is you hold down the control key, and you hold that key down, and you click on the letter U, okay? And what that does is, it shows you a new window, and that window shows you how the code looks. What is that code that created that page you're looking at? So that's how you see behind the scenes if you want to do that. There's another way too, but that's the easiest way, and I'll use that one for now. So that's what we want to do, is just be able to look at how this program works. So in the case of these programs, I gave you a series of programs, and I show you what they are. If you want to see each one of them after you run it, you see it running, all you have to do is hit Control U, and you'll see how the code looks in that program. And you see it looks like the kind of stuff we're going to be doing today. Okay? It's going to look pretty much like it, because I have to teach you the same instructions. The homework this weekend is going to include some of these instructions. Like there's a handful of, you have to just plug in, fill in the blanks, and it's all based on what I do today. It'll all be based on that. And all you have to do is go to the website, run the programs I told you to run, and look at them. And also, if you want to look at the video or with the notes you've taken, you'll see how this all works, okay? I think you get through the homework. That first homework is kind of important because it makes sure that you've got the right email address, and it makes sure that you actually do this kind of a homework assignment. Okay, to start off with, HTML code always looks like this. Now, if you've taken HTML before, there's going to be a difference in the way I present it and the way they do, because I've taught HTML on its own. It's a whole different ballgame. You have a lot of stuff in there. What I'm doing is I'm taking the shortcut route. I'm going to teach you the abbreviated version, because we just need the HTML to get us into JavaScript. We need to get in there with it. So I'm going to show you just the stuff you need. If you're interested in more HTML, believe me, there's 100 web pages up there that will teach you how to do HTML. They're all over the place. And it's always in transition. If you're looking for HTML, always look for HTML5 at this point. That's the one that's the going version. And HTML5 contains the latest stuff. Sometimes when you say to a web page, how do I do this? It'll give you a page from like 5 years ago, and that stuff doesn't work anymore. That's no good. You have to, if you say HTML5, it'll bring you to the most current version. That's what you want in the search engine when you type it in, okay? So here's what you have to do. To start off, you open up Notepad, or I think it's an editor. It's an editor of some kind in Macintosh. And you write this. That's the first thing you write. What that says, that's called a tag. Anything that's within these chevrons that look like that is called a tag. Anything that's within these guys right here. I'm going to explain to you why these things are, why they exist, okay? Before we even start, let's talk about HTML, why it works the way it does. In the beginning, there were several different computer manufacturing companies. And they had, each character uses a combination of bits to describe the character. In other words, A has a certain ones and zeros, B has certain ones and zeros, and so forth. And the carriage return, the return has a certain number of ones and zeros. In other words, it's a character of some kind. And the trouble is that the companies decided on different characters for carriage return. One of them used like 1110111, the other one used 10101011 or something like that, and they weren't the same. So the problem was, on the internet, was when you took a file from your computer and you sent it over to somebody else's computer and they had a different kind of computer, it wouldn't work right because the carriage returns would all be mixed up. It wouldn't know what to do. So they said, oh, what are we going to do about this? And also spaces was the same thing. The character for a space was different on the different machines. So basically they said, what are we going to do? So they decided to create this language called HTML, which has these tags in it, which tell you what to do. It tells it what to do. So here's what happens. I'm going to start off showing you something right off the bat. If I start to write an HTML program and I say, hello, and I go space, 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 Joe, like that. If I did that, and I just hit a bunch of returns, and I ran that in HTML, what it would show me is this. And the reason why is because it doesn't know carriage returns, and it doesn't know space. You have to actually put those in specifically. You have to say, here's where I want it to return, and I want it to skip all these lines over here. In other words, it doesn't do anything automatically. You have to tell it what to do. If I did this, for example, I said, hello, Joe, like that, with this big space over here, it would give me this. It would do the same thing. It doesn't recognize spaces. One space, that's all it recognizes, one space. And the second space, it doesn't recognize, it starts putting things together. So on its own, HTML doesn't recognize spaces or carriage returns. You have to specifically say, I want a space here, or I want a carriage return here. Now, not every space. If I just said, hello, space Joe, it would accept that. One space it likes. But when you get into 3 or 4 spaces, no, it doesn't like that anymore, and it just gives you one space, okay? That's the reason why we had to have this language, because the characters for space and carriage return were different on the different computers. So they said, okay, we'll make them specifically say, put a space here, or put a carriage return here. And then what happens is when their computer sees it, it looks at that thing that says put a space here, and it puts its space here, whatever its machine is, calls a space. And when it goes to the other machine, it sees that space, and it puts whatever it calls for a space. In other words, each machine then can interpret that the way it works, which is different than on different computers, okay? And that's why this thing all turned out. Today, we wouldn't even need that today, because all the machines use the same characters. So it's pretty much. But that's how it started off, and it got pretty tangled up after that. Okay. So I'm going to put a web page up here, a blank web page. Okay. And the first thing I'm going to write is, I'm going to write a program that's going to put the word hello on that web page. That's all it's going to do, is going to put hello right here. It always puts it, unless you tell it otherwise, it always goes up in the upper left-hand side. That's what we're going to do. That's the first program, okay? To begin with, every program you write has to have HTML at the top of it. And it must have /HTML at the end of it. HTML, that says, and by the way, use lowercase, don't use uppercase letters. I write in uppercase so you can read it, but use lowercase letters, okay? Sorry, I should have mentioned that before. It works with uppercase letters, it does with that. But once you get into uppercase, lowercase, the combinations, you can start getting into typos, and that causes trouble. So just stick with lowercase. Unless I tell you to use uppercase, stick with lowercase, okay? That's the best way to go. Everything should be lowercase. Okay, so lowercase here, so what you put is HTML. If I save that program right now, and I ran it, it would just show me this. It would run. It would just show me a blank page. That would be it. That is a complete HTML program. Not one that we'd ever write, but it is one. It turns out that within this thing here, HTML, there are two segments of the HTML program. One's called the head and one's called the body. There's two parts to it. The head, you go like this. You say, okay, I want a head on the thing, so I say H-E-A-D. And then I can write some lines of code here, however many I want. And then I have to have another one that says slash H-E-A-D, end of head. That's the neck, right? So the head has to have a beginning and an end, H-E-A-D, H-E-A-D, like so. And the reason for that, and we're using the reason for that, is that's where you put your JavaScript. It's the stuff that's out of the way. Everything up here is out of the way, not seen by people who are using the program. It's not visible to them, okay? That's where we put all our back behind the scenes stuff. And then the actual program where you're going to show them stuff, that part of it is the body. So you say, I want to start the body. Whoops, not like that. Start the body. Right here. And then I'm going to put the word hello right here. Notice it's got no tag around it. There's not a tag, sorry. There's not a tag. And then slash body. Like so. So therefore, the HTML goes from here down to here. The head goes from here down to here. The body goes from here down to here. And the word hello is on the body. That's what people can see. That's where it's visible to us. If I ran it, if I save this program, question?
If you were to capitalize hello in your program, would it be capitalized on the webpage?
You mean this right here?
Yeah.
You can type anything you want here. If you uppercase, lowercase, anything. That's just what shows on the page. In other words, it gives you, these guys are under constraint because they're actually tags, they're commands kind of. So you have to kind of follow the rules with them. But whatever you put in here is up to you. You can put anything you want. I can put uppercase, lowercase, anything, whatever. Okay? The tag is what tells the computer, by the way, this thing and this thing tells the computer where the commands are. You don't ever use anything that has those things on both sides of it in your program, because those things mean something to the computer. When it sees this, it sees this. It's what's in between better be a command or I'm in trouble. So this is actually a tag, this is a tag, a command. This is a command. These are actually specific things that the computer knows. It doesn't know hello, it just knows that stuff. The hello here is just your stuff. This part here is just your stuff. And it could be pictures, it could be anything, whatever it is, okay? When I run this program, well, first of all, I have to save it. So you save the program, just like I showed you before. You put a .html at the end of it. Make sure it sees all files. And then when you save it, it's up in your folder, CS101. Just take it and drag it to the Chrome icon, and it will say hello, like that. It puts in the upper lamp, simply because it starts right off in the upper lamp. And so if I put more stuff here, it'll just lay it out until it bumps into the end of the screen. Then it'll put it down here and put it down here. It wraps automatically. Okay.
Where do you put the .html?
Where do you put the .html? Oh, well, when you save okay, let's do it again. You say save, okay? And then when it comes up with these two lines that look like this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Never mind, sorry.
Okay, this is where you put it right here, right? It's got to be right there. No spaces, by the way. Lock it. Don't put any spaces in your program names. Just lock it right down.
And you can call it whatever you want.
Anything you want. I would stick with numbers and letters, though. Don't put asterisks or semicolons or any of that kind of stuff. It's very touchy.
And I forgot what you said about capital, like lowercase and
Only in these tags right here, the ones where they have these chevrons around them, use lowercase in all of those. Lowercase, lowercase, lowercase. Because in our programming language, uppercase causes a significant problem. We want to be sure we're in lowercase all the time. So now, at this point, if you write this, you're going to have written the first program. And it says hello. That's all it does, say hello. And if you want to test out your ability to put it up on the web, which you probably should do for, just to see if you can do it, then what you should do is you should go to en.altervista.org, log in. It's going to show. I'll show you that in a few minutes. Log in, and then ask it to take your hello file, which you saved as hello.html here. You can give me a name you want, by the way. But I just said hello. And then have it loaded up there, upload it, and then go to your browser and say, okay, my website /hello.html, and it should come up for you. You should be able to see it from you'll be seeing it from the host where it's located. And that'll do it. That actually is a starting program. How many people have written this stuff before, out of curiosity? So some of you had some experience, but some of you haven't. I guarantee this works. Actually, it's very simple and it works. It'll work for you. And okay, that's a start. Let's keep going here. Question?
So when you're making the program thing, and you end one of the sets, does it have to be a forward slash or to the backward slash?
It has to be, everything's forward slash. It always starts off, the tag starts off with whatever the word is in here, whatever the word happens to be, and the end of it is always forward slash tag. Like that. Whatever that tag is, that's the end of it.
Okay, whenever would you use a backward slash?
A backward slash?
When it goes like,
Oh, go the other, okay. That's used in sometimes when you're doing like in Microsoft, they have some of that stuff. It's used with pathways. Like you might, for example, you might have something's within a folder, within a folder, within a folder. Sometimes they do that. They have a folder here, backward slash, folder there, backward slash, folder there. Some of them do, some of them don't. And that's actually been quite contentious. That's over time we've been having a lot of fight about that, about which we should use. And always the companies like Microsoft and whoever, the companies who want to do everything their own way, they're like the French make helicopter blades that go backwards. I mean, what do you do? Now they go backwards, they just go the other way. Just kidding. Okay, so let's go on. Now, next thing is, so if you get this done, you'll have your first program, okay? So there's other kinds of tags, there's all kinds of tags, but there's other things you might want to do. Suppose you don't like that hello over here. You don't want that to be on the left-hand side like that. You want it to be in the middle. You like it in the middle of the page. Whatever the page is, you want it to be in the middle. Okay, let me just, I don't want to miss, if I miss anything, I'm going to cause you trouble, so I don't want to miss anything here. Let me see if I do this. I want to be sure okay, we're all set. Now I'm going to take that hello and I'm going to make sure that it prints in the middle of the page. That's all I want to do. Okay. So I start off, I say, okay, HTML, no problemo, and I have a head, as usual. Then I close the head, slash head. And then I have the body. Now, what I'm saying here is, in the body, that whatever I put in the body, I want it to be in the middle. I want it to be centered. Everything to be centered in the body. Okay? So what I do is, now I have to go to CSS, because HTML doesn't do that. So you have to go to the CSS of a language, which pretties up everything. Okay? So you say, okay, we're going to use one of their commands, which is called a style command. These are styles. So I hit a space right here, then I write the word style right here. Style. Don't forget now, this is in the tag. The tag opens, you write body, you write space, and you write the word style. And when you write the word style, you're going to start telling the page what to look like. Okay? You're going to start putting character into it. That's quite different than what we're going to do is, you have to put a quote. You must put a quote mark there. And then you write the word text. Whoops, not like that. Text dash align. Just exactly like that. It has to be exactly like that. No spaces or anything, exactly like that. Colon, center. Like so. There it is. Then you say, okay. Then I say hello. Then I say slash body. I say slash HTML. And there it is. That's the whole program. Now what this thing does, this right here is a style sheet. A little style sheet. Okay? And what that does is it causes hello to go to the middle, like so. It centers it. Very simple. Okay? Now, there's gazillions of these things. I'm not kidding, there's lots of them. So I don't want to overwhelm you with all that cute stuff. So basically, I'm doing this because most of your pages you want it to be in the middle so you can actually read it and it'll make sense to you. So that's kind of a style that we would want. That particular style is what we would want. Okay? The next thing is, Supposing I wanted the page to be black with white letters. Okay, you know, a lot of people do that. That seems to be, that's the geeky thing to do. And I want the whole page to be not only centered, I want the stuff to be centered, but I want the word hello to be white letters on a big black page, like so. Okay? How do we do that? Well, we should have put the page in a different spot. I'll move it here. Okay. So, here's what we do. We say, okay, this is a style question. I'm still doing a style here, okay? I say, okay, I said I want to align center, so therefore all the things are going to be in the middle. And now another thing I want to do is I want to make the background color black. So here's what I say. I put a semicolon here. I'm going to add a new command. This command is all completed. The text alignment will be centered. But now I want to say the background, the dash color, colon, black. That. If I just ran this program, put a thing over there, quotes, and finished it, it would give me a black background. But if I put the word hello on it, it would be black too. You wouldn't see it. The word hello would disappear. So therefore, we have to tell all the letters that are on the thing to be white. So here's what I do. I say semicolon. I say color, which means everything on the page that has potential to have color, colon, white. Quote. Done. And now what will happen is you will see the same page with hello in the middle, only now what's going to happen is it will say it's not only in the middle, but the background color is going to be black. It's all going to be black. And then in white, on top here, is going to be the word hello. And that's how that's done. Now, this is see, this is CSS. This is where CSS is cool. It actually refines everything. So the first thing, this is a specific command. This is a very specific command, a semicolon. A very specific command here. You have to write it exactly as it's written, semicolon. And this one's the same thing. They have to be written exactly as they're written, semicolon. Quotes begin the whole thing, quotes end the whole thing. As I said though, I've got this online, and it's actually, in one of the descriptions, you'll see the actual details of it, of this program, how it looks. Okay? Suppose I want to put a picture up there. That's where it gets entertaining. Supposing I have a photograph, and it's a picture of somebody, and it's called sam.jpg. JPG is the extension for a JPEG program, JPEG file, picture, and it's a pretty common picture. Okay, you'll see. Pretty common. We'll be using them a lot, quite a bit. So I want to put Sam's picture underneath the word hello, or above the word hello. I want to put, here's what I want to do. I want to have the page say, here's the picture, right here, and it says hello right here. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the whole bit. I'm going to show the picture and show the word hello underneath it, but it's all going to be in the middle. So first I want to put the picture up there, see? So I go here and I say, this is a specific command now. This is a specific command. You say image, img, source, equals. And that picture has to have a name, so you use the name sam.jpg, like so. What will happen is, amazingly, that picture will just appear right in the middle. That's what will happen. If and by the way, sam.jpg has to be in the same folder, has to be in the CS101 folder with your program. Everything has to be in the same CS101 folder. If that's true, then Sam will show up right here. This will be Sam right here. And it'll show up. And then what happens is, once that's true, then what you want to do is you want to put the word hello under him. And here's where it gets tricky. If I just write the word hello down here, it won't go under him, because it doesn't recognize carriage returns. So you have to say, I want a carriage return, and I want a return in there. So what you do is, you write, whatever you write here doesn't make any difference. It's what you print is what counts. So if I print down here, BR, that's it. BR means break, it means line break. And what happens is, it shows you the picture, it hits that line break command and says, oh, they want to go down a line. And so it goes down a line, and then you put the word hello. And there it is. The word hello, pardon me. I hope I survived this. It's right here. Then you go /body /HTML. Okay? Now, I can embellish this program a little bit. They used to have a thing called a title. They still have titles. Okay? The trouble with title is, when you put a title on a page, it doesn't show up in the page. It shows up at the top here someplace. Sometimes it shows in the bottom. The browsers, the companies have been given a lot of latitude about how to show the name of the thing, the title of the thing. So basically, some of them just abbreviate it. Like if you say, this program does something, it'll show you this ... You won't even see the whole name of it. So it's almost like something archaic. They don't use it much anymore, but you might see it. So I want to write it down for you, show you it's there. In between, in the head, between this one and this one, right in this spot right here. If you want to have a title on your page that shows up outside the page, it shows up in the page prints, but it'll show outside in the browser someplace. What you do is you put down the word title, T-I-T-L-E, like so. And then you can close it. Then you say, we'll call it the hello program. Hello prog, or something like that. Whatever you write, whatever words you want to write here. And then you put /title, and that's it. /title. So in other words, you can put a title on something if you want to. I'm telling you, in programs that we write, for your own consumption, you might use that just to say, oh yeah, this is my first version. You could put version 1 or something. You can put anything you want in there. So when you list the program, you say, oh yeah, this is the version I want to work with. Because you might end up with several versions of a program. So for your own consumption, you might want to do that, but it's your option. It's an optional thing. I don't ask you to do it intentionally. So that could happen. You could end up with something like that. I think, I sure hope I can. Let me see. So, one more thing. We need one more thing here. One more thing. Supposing, oh boy, it's going to be tough, but I'll do it. I'll do it. Supposing hello, when I write down hello right here, where did I put hello? Right here. Supposing I want to make hello bigger, a larger size. Just hello. In other words, maybe there's a whole bunch of words down there, and I just want to make this particular one a different size than the others. You can do that. What you do is, instead of writing just hello, the first thing you do is you make what they call a divider, D-I-V, like so. It's a divider. And then in this case, what I did is I gave it a style. I made a style for it, just like this style thing right here. Same thing, style equals quote. And in this case, I called it. I said font size. These are things we're going to come back to, by the way. But I just want you to see them one time. Size colon 100 pixels. This is not something that I expect you to remember, but you should be able to find it if you need it for something. I'm going to say hello, and then /div. What this divider is, it's just simply, they invented this thing. It just allows you, if you want to take some text or something and you want to do something different with it than was done at the beginning up here in this thing, you want to, actually, this little bit of text, you want to do something a little different with it. What you can do is you can create a divider, and then you put the thing that you want to be treated differently here, and then you close the divider. So this divider, this style right here will allow, it'll be stronger than this one. It'll overlay that one. So this is going to be the better one. So in other words, this one's going to be the case. Everything else in the whole page will follow these rules, but this guy here, because you made a div and you said, I want this guy to be a little different, you put that in there to cause that to happen. And that's pretty much how it works. Questions? Ask me any questions. Go ahead.
So would you stick the divider under the break?
Under the break, yeah, because otherwise it'll put the word inside of it, then it will break. Yeah, the
Okay.
break is supposed to separate the words and the thing. Yeah, that makes sense. You see what I'm saying? No, it's picture, break, words. No matter what divider does it to them.
So, is all of what you've got on the board, is that on your website for us to do as homework? So we don't have to write all this down?
No, you don't have to write anything, any programs yet. All this thing does is it has a program written already, and it has some blank spots in it, you have to fill them in, based on this stuff right here, by the way. You have to say, oh, yeah, this requires this requires that, just so you get used to seeing what goes in those spots, that's all. Getting used to the idea that if you have a head, you have to have a slash head. If you have a slash head, you had to have had a head. I mean, these things are required, they all have to be there. And I don't think you'll have any trouble with that. First, it's just sort of a just tryout thing. Okay, and so what it does is it gives you a program, a bunch of stuff that you can write a web page, just the front end. We're doing just what we see now, what the user sees. Okay, there are some other things too that I don't think I want to give you right now. I hope I didn't do them in the assignment. I'm going to take a look at the assignment too while we're here, while we're doing this. But let me turn on the. Give me a second here to turn on the computer, and I'm going to show you how to upload, and then we'll talk about that. If there's any problems you have with it, we'll talk about it. Okay, you want to take a couple minute break while I get this ready? If you got any questions, go ahead.